The research ship Kepler's Dream moved slowly through space near the Veil Nebula. Stars shined like tiny diamonds against the black sky. The ship was big and white with blue lights along its sides. It was humanity's best exploration vessel built. To study new worlds and map the galaxy, Captain Marcus Torres sat in his command chair on the bridge. He was a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes. Round him, his crew worked at their stations. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of computers, and the gentle beep of scanners looking for new planets. Lieutenant Sarah Chen sat at the communications station. She was young, with short black hair and quick fingers that danced across her controls. For 3 weeks, she had listened to nothing but empty space. Radio waves from distant stars. The whisper of cosmic wind. Nothing more than something changed. Sarah's eyes went wide. Her hands stopped moving. A sound came through her headphones that made her heart race. It was not human. It was not from Earth. It was something else entirely. "Captain," Sarah said, her voice shaking a little. "I'm getting a transmission. It's not from any human ship." Torres turned his chair toward her. Every person on the bridge stopped what they were doing. This was the moment they had all dreamed of and feared. First contact with aliens. "To put it on speakers," Torres said calmly, though his heart was beating. Fast. Sarah pressed a button. Strange sounds filled the bridge. Clicks and whistles and sounds like singing. And suddenly, words they could understand. "Help us. ... Please help us. ... Wait, the voice was high and scared. It spoke broken English with a strange accent. "Any people who hear this, I need help very much." The crew looked at each other with surprise. Aliens who could speak English? Torres leaned forward in his chair. "This is merchant ship Flying Star," the alien voice continued. "We carry families. We carry children. The Cathara ships attack us. They take our people. They hurt our young ones. Please, if any good people hear this, help us. We are dying." Sarah worked quickly at her station. "Captain, the signal is coming from about 3 days away at maximum speed. The transmission is very weak." The alien voice spoke again, and this time there was more fear in it. "The Cathara take everything. They take our friends, our families. They make them slaves. Our weapons cannot stop them. We try to run, but they are too fast. Please, any civilization that hears this, we beg you to help our children." Torres stood up from his chair. He had trained for many situations, but not this one. First contact was supposed to happen slowly, carefully, with many meetings and talks. Not like this. Not with aliens begging for their lives. "How many ships are out there?" Torres asked Sarah. "The computer says at least 20 alien vessels. Captain, some very big, some small. And there are other ships too. Different technology. Those must be the attackers." The transmission continued. "My name is Vexhai. I am elder of the Zalani people. We are peaceful traders. We never hurt anyone. The Cathar Empire finds us anyway. They always find peaceful people. They take us like we are animals. Please, someone help us. Our children are scared." Commander Jake Wilson, the ship's second in command, walked up to Torres. He was a big man, with a red beard. "Captain, we can't get involved in an alien war. We don't know these people. We don't know what's really happening out there." Torres nodded, but his eyes stayed on the speakers. The alien voice was getting weaker, more afraid. "If you hear this message," Vexai said, "know that the Zalani remember kindness. We remember those who help when others need help. But if no one comes, remember us anyway. Remember that we tried to be good people in a galaxy full of darkness." Then new sounds came through the speakers. Explosions, screaming, the sounds of ships being destroyed. "They break through our shields," Vexhai shouted. "They board our ships. They take our people. If anyone hears this, do not let the galaxy forget the Zalani. Do not let them forget that we were here." The transmission became full of static. Then, slowly, it faded away. The bridge of the Kepler's Dream became silent. Torres looked around at his crew. He saw fear in some faces, confusion in others. But mostly he saw the same thing he felt in his own heart. These aliens, these Zalani, were just like humans in many ways. They loved their children. They wanted to live in peace. and now they were dying while calling for help. Captain Sarah said quietly, "What do we do?"
Out.
Torres thought about Earth, 3 months away. He thought about the rules and laws about meeting aliens. He thought about his orders to avoid trouble and just explore. But mostly he thought about the fear in that alien voice. The fear of a parent watching their children being taken away. Commander Wilson Torres said in a strong voice, "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we have made contact with alien species. Tell them we are going to help them." Wilson's eyes went wide. "Captain, we're just one ship. We don't know how many enemy vessels are out there. This could be a trap." Torres walked to the big window at the front of the bridge. He looked. Out at the stars? Somewhere out there, people were dying. People who had asked for help. People who believed that somewhere in the galaxy, someone might care enough to save them. "All hands, this is the Captain Torres," said into the ship's communication system. "Battle stations. We're going to war." Red lights began flashing all over. The ship alarms started ringing. The crew ran to their positions. In the engine room, the powerful drives began to glow brighter. Weapons that had never been fired in real battle started to charge up the Keplers. Dream turned toward the source of the alien distress call and began to move faster than it had ever moved before. Torres remained at the window, watching the stars. In 18 minutes, his decision would change everything. Humanity was about to enter the galactic stage, not as explorers or diplomats, but as warriors answering a cry for help. The galaxy was about to learn what humans did when children were in danger. The Kepler's Dream raced through space faster than it had ever gone before. The ship's engines glowed bright blue as they pushed beyond safe limits. Captain Torres stood on the bridge, watching the stars streak past like lines of light. The ship was built for exploration, not war, but he would make it work. "Message sent to Earth Command, Captain," said Lieutenant Sarah Chen from her communications station. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as she tried to boost the signal strength. Earth was very far away, but the message had to get through. 3 hours later, Sarah's station beeped loudly. "Captain, we're getting a response from Earth." The main screen at the front of the bridge lit up. Admiral Rebecca Hayes appeared on the screen. She was an older woman with short gray hair and sharp eyes. Behind her, Torres could see the busy command center of Earth Defense Headquarters. Captain Torres, Admiral Hayes said in a serious voice, "Explain your situation." Torres straightened up. "Admiral, we received a distress call from an alien species called the Zilani. They're being attacked by something called the Cathera Empire. The Zilani have children on their ships. They're being taken as slaves." Admiral Hayes was quiet for a moment. Her eyes looked hard and cold. "How many enemy ships?" "Unknown, Admiral. Could be dozens. Could be hundreds." "And you decided to engage? Without orders?" Torres felt his crew watching him. He knew his career might be over after this. But he also knew he would make the same choice again. "Yes, Admiral, I did." Admiral Hayes stared at him through the screen. Then slowly she smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of a predator. "Protocol 7 is now active," she said. "All human military forces are to respond immediately. Captain Torres, you will not face this enemy alone." The screen changed to show a map of human space. Red dots began appearing all over the map. Each red dot was a human warship. There were many more than Torres had expected. Admiral Torres said with surprise, "I didn't know we had so many ships." "Captain, we've been preparing for this day since we first looked up at the stars," Hayes said. "We always knew we might meet aliens who wanted to hurt us or hurt others. We built ships for peace, but we also built ships for war." The map showed ships moving from dozens of different star systems. Big battleships with thick armor and powerful guns. Fast attack ships with missiles and energy weapons. Support ships carrying supplies and spare parts. All of them were heading toward the same place where the Zilani had called for help. "The Yamato is closest to your position," Admiral Hayes continued. "Captain Sarah Kim will reach you in 2 days. The Hood and the Bismarck are also coming with full battle groups. You will have over 50 ships. Captain Torres. Torres felt relief wash over him. 50 ships was a real fleet that could fight. "What are your orders, Admiral?" Torres asked. Admiral Hayes leaned forward toward the screen. Her voice became very cold. "Find these Cathara. Learn everything you can about them. If they are taking children as slaves." ... double quotes. She paused and her eyes became like ice. "Show them why that was a mistake." The transmission ended. Torres turned to his crew. They all looked excited and scared. At the same time, Commander Wilson, Torres said to his second-in-command, "Push the engines harder. I want to reach the Zilani position as fast as possible." "Captain, the engines are already at 110%, Wilson said. "Any faster, and we might damage them. Then we'll risk it," Torres said. "Sarah, keep trying to contact the Zilani. Maybe some of them are still alive." For the next day, the Kepler's Dream flew through space at dangerous speeds. The ship shook and groaned as the engines worked harder than they were designed to work. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Maria Santos watched her displays with worry. The fusion reactors were running hot, but they were holding together. Finally, Sarah's voice filled the bridge. "Captain, I'm picking up debris fields ahead and..." "Captain, there are ships still there." Torres moved to the sensor station. The screen showed a terrible sight. Pieces of destroyed ships floated in space like broken toys. Some pieces were very big. Some were very small. All of them had once been Zilani ships carrying families. But there were other ships too. Ships that were still whole. Ships that looked like nothing humans had ever built before. "Those are the alien ships," said Lieutenant James Park from the sensor station. "The design is completely different from ours. Look like they're made for fighting." Torres studied the alien ships on the screen. They were dark and angular, like giant metal spears. They had spikes and sharp edges all over them. They looked mean and scary, built to frighten enemies before the fighting even started. "How many?" Torres asked. "I count 27 large ships and maybe 40 smaller ones," Park said. "They're all around what looks like a big space station." "What kind of space station?" Park worked at his controls, trying to get a better look. "Captain, I think it's a prison ship. It's huge, maybe 10 times bigger than our ship. And I'm reading life signs inside, lots of them." Torres felt his heart sink. The Zilani survivors were in that prison ship. They were still alive, but for how long? "Sarah, any word from our reinforcements?" Yamato reports. "They'll be here in 18 hours, Captain. The rest of the fleet is still 2 days away." Torres looked at the alien ships again. Over 60 enemy vessels against his one exploration ship. It should have been impossible. Should have been suicide. But somewhere in that prison ship, Zilani, children were waiting for rescue. Children who had heard their parents call for help. Children who believed that someone good would come to save them. "All hands, this is the captain," Torres announced over the ship's communication system. "We have found the enemy. We are outnumbered 60 to 1.
Our weapons
We're not built for this kind of fight. Our ship was not designed for war." He paused, looking around at his crew. They were scared, but they were also determined. "Aliens down there made a mistake," Torres continued. "They hurt children. They took families away from each other. And now they're about to learn something about humans. We don't leave children behind, ever." And the Kepler's Dream moved closer too. The alien fleet, ready to fight impossible odds until help could arrive. The Kepler's Dream floated in the shadow of a broken asteroid, watching the alien fleet. Captain Torres stood behind Lieutenant Park at the sensor station, studying the enemy ships. They were ugly things covered in spikes and sharp edges like metal thorns. "The big ship in the center is definitely a prison vessel," Park said quietly. "I'm reading thousands of life signs inside. Different species, not just Zilani." Torres felt sick to his stomach. Thousands of prisoners. How many other peaceful species had these Cathara attacked? How many families had they torn apart? "Captain," said Commander Wilson, "we should wait for the Yamato. Captain Kim will be here in 16 hours with a proper warship." Torres looked at the prison ship again. 16 hours was a long time. It's too long for children who were scared and alone. "Sarah, can you scan for any communications from inside that prison ship?" Torres asked. Lieutenant Chen worked at her station, adjusting frequencies and boosting signal strength. After a few minutes, her face went pale. "Captain, I'm picking up transmissions from inside. They're not good. Put it on speakers." Sounds filled the bridge that made everyone's skin crawl. Alien voices crying in pain, children calling for their parents, adults begging for mercy in languages no human had ever heard before. Then, through the noise, they heard a familiar voice. Vex High, the Zilani elder who had sent the original distress call. "Please," Vex High said in broken English, "do not hurt the young ones. Take me instead. Take all the adults, but leave the children alone." A different voice answered, speaking clear English with a cold, cruel tone. "Your children will serve the Cathara Empire well. The young ones learn faster to obey. They make better slaves." Torres felt anger rise in his chest like fire. Round him, his crew looked ready to fight with their bare hands. "That's it," Torres said. "Wilson, prepare a boarding party. We're going in." Wilson stared at him. "Captain, that's suicide. There are 60 enemy ships out there, and we better be smart about it," Torres said. He turned to the tactical station. "Park, those Cathara ships have any weak spots?" Park studied his sensors carefully. "Their shields seem weaker at the back, Captain, and they're not watching their rear very well. I think they're safe." Torres smiled grimly. "They're about to learn different. Sarah, prepare our stealth systems. We're going to sneak into that prison ship." The Kepler's Dream had been built for exploration, but it also had some military technology. Human ships needed to be ready for anything in the dangerous galaxy. The stealth system made the ship very hard to see on sensors, but it only worked if they moved slowly and quietly. For 2 hours, the Kepler's Dream crept through the debris field toward the prison ship. The broken pieces of Zilani vessels provided cover as they moved closer. Torres watched the enemy ships on the main screen, waiting for one of them to notice the human vessel. But the Cathara were confident. They had won so many battles against weak species that they had stopped being careful. They did not expect anyone to fight back. Finally, the Kepler's Dream reached the side of the huge prison ship. It was even bigger up close, like a metal mountain. Floating in space, its surface was covered with weapon ports and docking bays. "Boarding party ready, Captain," said Security Chief Lieutenant Commander Ana Rodriguez. She was a tough woman with scars on her hands from years of training. Behind her stood 12 of the ship's best fighters, all wearing heavy armor and carrying advanced weapons. "Remember," Torres told them, "we're not just here to fight. We're here to rescue people. Find the prisoners and get them out." The boarding party moved through the ship's airlocks into small attack shuttles. These shuttles were designed to carry people between ships, but they could also cut through enemy hull armor with laser tools. Rodriguez led her team to a weak spot on the prison ship that Park had found. The shuttles attached to the hull like metal insects and began cutting through the thick armor. Sparks flew as the lasers worked, but the Cathara inside did not notice yet. "We're through," Rodriguez reported over the radio. "Moving inside now." Boarding party entered the alien ship carefully. The corridors inside were dark and smelled terrible. The walls were covered with strange symbols that looked like warnings. Everything was designed to make prisoners feel afraid. Captain Rodriguez whispered into her radio, "This place is worse than we thought. There are cages everywhere. Hundreds of them." Torres listened to the reports as his people moved deeper into the ship. They found prison cells filled with different alien species. Some looked like the fox-like Zilani. Others were completely different. Some with scales, some with feathers, some with skin like tree bark. All of them looked terrified when they saw the humans in armor. They had learned to fear anyone with weapons. "It's okay," Rodriguez said gently to a group of Zilani children huddled in a corner. "We're here to help. We heard your distress call." One of the children, a small female with golden fur, looked up. With big, scared eyes, "You, ... you came. Someone really came," yes, Rodriguez said, kneeling down to the child's level. "Came, and we're going to get you out of here." But then alarms started ringing throughout the prison ship. Red lights flashed in the corridors. The Cathara had finally discovered the human borders. "Rodriguez, get those people out of there now," Torres shouted over the radio. Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridors as Cathara soldiers ran toward the humans. These aliens were big and scary, with thick armor and energy weapons that glowed with deadly light. The first Cathara soldier rounded a corner and stopped in surprise when he saw Rodriguez. He had never seen a human before. He hesitated for just a moment, confused by this new type of alien. That hesitation cost him his life. Rodriguez's weapon fired 3 times, and the Cathara soldier fell to the ground. "Move, move, move," Rodriguez shouted to her team. "Get the prisoners to the shuttles." The boarding party began herding the alien prisoners toward the hole they had cut in the ship's hull. The prisoners were weak and scared, but they moved as fast as they could. They could smell freedom. More Cathara soldiers arrived, firing energy weapons down the corridors. The human soldiers fired back with kinetic weapons, guns that shot metal bullets at incredible speed. The Cathara had never faced weapons like these before. Their energy shields were designed to stop energy blasts, not solid projectiles. "Their shields don't work against our bullets," Rodriguez reported over the radio. "We're cutting through them." On the bridge of the Kepler's Dream, Torres watched as his people fought their way through the alien ship. On the sensors, he could see Cathara ships starting to move. They were coming to investigate the prison ship. Captain Park said urgently, "Enemy ships approaching our position. 3 of them, moving fast." Torres looked at the tactical display. His ship was fast, but not fast enough to escape 3 enemy warships while carrying refugees. "Prepare for battle," Torres announced. "This is what we came here to do." The Kepler's Dream turned away from the prison ship just as the first Cathara warship arrived. The enemy ship was twice as big as the human vessel, with weapons that could destroy a city. But Torres had something the aliens did not expect. He had humans who refused to give up when children were in danger. "Fire everything we have," Torres ordered. The space around the ships exploded with light as the first battle between humans and the Cathara Empire began. The first Cathara warship fired its main weapon at the Kepler's Dream. A bright beam of energy cut through space where the human ship had been just seconds before. Captain Torres had ordered evasive maneuvers at exactly the right moment. "Turn. Fire," Torres shouted. The Kepler's Dream was not a warship, but it carried weapons for protection. Kinetic cannons along its sides fired metal projectiles at incredible speed. The bullets hit the Cathara ship's shields and punched right through them like they were made of paper. "Direct hit," reported Lieutenant Park from the weapons station. "Their shields can't stop our projectiles." The Cathara ship shook from the impact. Explosions bloomed along its hull as the human bullets tore through armor that had protected the ship in 100 battles against other aliens. The Cathara captain could not believe what he was seeing. "Possible," the alien commander said to his crew. "No species has weapons like this. Check our defensive systems." But there was nothing wrong with their shields. Human weapons were just different. While most alien species used energy weapons, humans had perfected the art of throwing very heavy things very fast. Physics did the rest. 2 more Cathara ships arrived to help their damaged companion. They surrounded the Kepler's Dream, firing from 3 directions. Torres watched the enemy fire on his main screen and felt sweat on his forehead. "Hull breach on Deck 7, called Chief Engineer Santos over the intercom. Emergency teams respond." The human ship shook as alien energy beams burned through its armor. Red lights flashed on the bridge as damage reports came in from all over the vessel. The Kepler's Dream was tough, but it was not built to fight 3 warships at once. Captain Commander Wilson said, "We can't take much more of this." Torres looked at the time display. Yamato would arrive in 4 hours. It's too long. His ship would be destroyed long before then. "And Sarah, how many prisoners did we get out?" Torres asked. "Rodriguez reports 200 rescued so far," Captain Chen replied. "But there are thousands more inside that prison ship." Torres made his decision. "Continue the rescue operation. We hold the line here." On the prison ship, Security Chief Rodriguez and her team fought their way deeper into the alien vessel. The corridors were filled with smoke and the sounds of battle. Cathara soldiers fired energy weapons while humans responded with bullets and grenades. "Rodriguez to bridge," she called over her radio. "We found Elder Vex High. He's alive but injured." Zelani Elder was in a cage in the deepest part of the ship. His golden fur was matted with blood, and one of his legs was broken. But his large eyes still showed hope when he saw the humans. "You came, Vexai," whispered in amazement. "You really came for us. Keep our promises," Rodriguez said as she cut through the cage bars with a laser tool. "Can you walk?" "I will walk," Vexai said firmly. "My people need to see that someone cares about them." As Rodriguez helped the elder out of his cage, she heard new sounds over her radio. The sounds of many ships arriving very fast. On the bridge of the Kepler's Dream, Torres saw something beautiful appear on his sensors. The Yamato had arrived early, and it was not alone. Captain Sarah Kim had brought 3 other warships with her. The Yamato was a real battleship, built for war. It was twice as big as the Kepler's Dream and covered with weapons. Its thick armor could take hits that would destroy an exploration ship. Behind it came the cruisers, Beijing, Lagos, and Snow. "Paulo, this is Captain Kim of the Yamato," came a voice over the radio. "Sorry we're late to the party, Torres. Mind if we join in?" Torres almost cried with relief. "You're very welcome, Captain Kim. We have prisoners to protect." The 4 human warships spread out in a battle formation that the Kithara had never seen before. Each ship was connected to the others through quantum communication systems that let them coordinate their attacks perfectly. When one ship fired, the others knew exactly where to aim to support it. The Kithara fleet commander, Warmaster the Clone, watched the human ships on his screen with growing concern. He commanded 67 ships, but these humans fought in ways he had never seen. Their weapons pierced his shields. Their tactics changed faster than his computers could track. "All ships, attack Formation 7, the Kalan ordered. Surround the human vessels and destroy them." But the humans did not fight like other species. When Kithara ships tried to surround them, the human vessels split up and attacked from different angles. When the aliens tried to focus fire on one ship, the other human vessels appeared behind them and struck their weak points. The Yamato's main guns spoke with thunder that could be heard across space. Each shot sent kinetic projectiles the size of cars into Kithara ships. The alien vessels, designed to intimidate rather than fight efficiently, began to break apart under the human assault. Impossible. The Kalan screamed as another of his ships exploded. "They are only 4 vessels. We have 60. But numbers meant nothing when the enemy fought smarter. Human ships used artificial intelligence to predict enemy movements. Their crews had trained for years to fight wars against their own species, the most dangerous opponents in the galaxy. Now they turned those skills against aliens, who'd grown lazy from crushing weak civilizations. Captain Kim's voice filled the communication channels as she coordinated the attack. "Beijing, target their command ship. Snow Paulo, cover our flanks. Lagos, protect the Kepler's Dream while they continue rescue operations." The battle became a deadly dance. Kithara ships exploded one after another as human weapons found their marks. The aliens had superior numbers, but the humans had superior everything else. Better weapons, better tactics, better coordination, and most importantly, a better reason to fight. On the prison ship, Rodriguez and her team led hundreds of rescued prisoners toward the escape shuttles. Aliens from dozens of different species followed the humans through corridors filled with smoke and fire. Many of them had never seen creatures like humans before, but they knew these strange beings had come to save them. "The humans fight like demons," said one Kithara soldier to another as they retreated through their own ship. "Their weapons cut through everything. Their ships move like they can read our minds." More human ships arrived as the battle continued. The Hood appeared with its escort vessels, followed by the Bismarck and its battle group. Soon, 40 human warships faced the remaining Kithara fleet. The aliens, who had ruled through fear for centuries, finally felt afraid themselves, Warmaster. The Kalan's flagship shuddered as human projectiles tore through its hull. His bridge was filled with smoke and the screams of his dying crew. On his main screen, he watched his once mighty fleet being systematically destroyed by an enemy that should not exist. How he whispered as another explosion shook his ship. How do they fight like this? His communications officer, bleeding from a head wound, looked up from his station. War Master, the humans. They don't fight like prey. The Kalan realized with horror that his empire had made a terrible mistake. They had awakened something in the galaxy that had been sleeping. Something that protected the weak and punished the strong. Something that turned rescue missions into wars of extermination as his flagship began to break apart around him. The Kalan sent one final message to the Cathera homeworld. Beware the humans. They bring death to those who harm children. The Yamato's guns found their mark. And War Master the Kalan learned what happened when someone threatened innocence in a galaxy where humans existed. The last Cathara ship exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the darkness of space. Captain Torres watched from the bridge of the Kepler's Dream as debris from the alien warships scattered among the stars. The battle was over. 67 enemy ships had been destroyed. Not one human vessel had been lost. All Cathara ships neutralized, reported Lieutenant Park from the sensor station. The area is secure, Captain. Torres nodded, but he felt no joy in the victory. Too many people had suffered before the humans arrived. Too many families had been torn apart by the Cathara Empire. Sarah, open a channel to all human ships, Torres said. Channel open, Captain. Torres looked at the main screen where he could see the faces of the other human ship captains. Captain Kim of the Yamato gave him a small salute. Behind her, Torres could see her crew working to help rescued prisoners. All ships, this is Torres, he said. Well done, everyone. But our work isn't finished. We have thousands of people to take care of. The next few hours were busy ones. Human ships docked with the massive Cathera prison vessel to rescue the remaining prisoners. Medical teams worked around the clock to help injured aliens from dozens of different species. Engineers repaired damaged systems and made the prison ships safe for the rescued people to live in temporarily. Security Chief Rodriguez led Torres through the prison ship to show him what they had found. The corridors that had once echoed with screams now filled with the sounds of freedom. Alien families hugged each other. Children who had thought they would never see their parents again laughed and played. We found over 4,000 prisoners, Captain, Rodriguez reported. Not just Zelani. There are species here from across the galaxy. Some of them have been slaves for years. Torres stopped beside a group of small, blue-skinned aliens who looked like children but spoke with adult voices. One of them approached him carefully. You are human? The alien asked in heavily accented English. Yes, Torres replied gently. What's your name? I am called Pip. My people are the Nexari. The Cathara took us when I was very young, that was 10 years ago. Torres felt anger rise in his chest again. This person had been a slave for 10 years, since childhood. How many others had suffered the same fate? You're free now, Pip, Torres said. The Cathara will never hurt you again. Pip's large eyes filled. With tears? Free? Truly free? We can go home? If you want to, or you can come with us and find a new home. Whatever makes you happy. Elder Vexay approached them, walking slowly because of his injured leg. The Zelani leader looked much better after human doctors had treated his wounds. His golden fur was clean again, and his eyes were bright with hope. Captain Torres Vexay said, My people owe you a debt we can never repay. You heard our call. For help when we thought no one in the galaxy cared about us. Torres shook his head. You don't owe us anything, Elder. We did what anyone should do when children are in danger. Not anyone, Vexa said sadly. We sent distress calls for days. Before you heard us, many species must have received our signals. Only the humans came. This made Torres think. How many other species in the galaxy had heard the Zelani calls for help and chosen to ignore them? How many civilizations knew about the Cathara Empire but were too afraid to fight back? Elder Torres said. Tell me about the galaxy. What other species are out there? Who else needs help? Vexay's expression became serious. The galaxy is a dark place, Captain. Cathera Empire controls hundreds of star systems. They have enslaved or destroyed dozens of species. Most civilizations are too weak to fight them. Others are too scared. What about governments? Alliances? Someone must try to keep the peace. There is the Galactic Confederation, Vex'Li explained. But they only care about trade and profit. They ignore slavery and genocide as long as it doesn't hurt their business. They call it non-interference in local affairs. Torres felt disgusted. A galactic government that allowed slavery to continue was no government at all. Admiral. Hayes appeared on the communication screen in the captain's ready room later that day. Behind her, Torres could see the busy command center of Earth Defense. Headquarters. She looked pleased but also worried. "Congratulations on your victory, Captain," Admiral Hayes said, "but I'm afraid this is just the beginning. Our actions here will have consequences across the galaxy." "What kind of consequences, Admiral?" "We've made ourselves known as a military power. Some species will see us as saviors. Others will see us as a threat. The Cathara Empire will definitely want revenge." Torres nodded. He had expected this. "What are your orders, Admiral?" Admiral Hayes smiled, and it was the same predatory smile she had shown before. "For establishing the Terran Protection Protocols. Any species that asks for help against genocide, slavery, or other crimes against innocent people will receive it. The Kepler's Dream will be the flagship of our new intervention fleet. And if other species object to our interference, then they'll learn the same lesson the Cathara learned," Hayes said coldly. "Don't threaten children when humans are watching." 3 days later, the Kepler's Dream led a convoy of human ships toward Zalani space. The rescued aliens had chosen to return home, though many had asked if they could visit human worlds someday. Elder Vex'Hi rode aboard Torres's ship, serving as an ambassador between their species. Captain Vex'Hi said as they sat in the ship's observation lounge watching the stars, "May I ask you something?" "Of course, Elder." "Why did you respond so quickly to our distress call? Your Admiral Hayes said it took only 18 minutes to mobilize your fleet." "That seems impossibly fast." Torres thought about the question carefully. How could he explain humanity to this gentle alien? How could he describe a species that had spent thousands of years fighting each other, learning to be efficient at war, but also learning to value peace? Elder Torres said finally, "Humans have a saying, the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. We heard your call for help, and we couldn't do nothing. But surely you were afraid. The Cathara had many more ships than you." Torres smiled. "Of course we were afraid. Fear keeps you alive in a fight. But we were more afraid of what would happen if we didn't try to help. I don't understand." "Elder, how would we explain to our children that we heard other children crying for help and chose to ignore them? How would we live with ourselves knowing we could have saved lives, but decided it was too dangerous?" Vex'Hi was quiet for a long moment, and he said, "Your species is very strange, Captain Torres. Most civilizations become more careful as they grow powerful. They worry about protecting themselves. Humans seem to become more willing to help others. Maybe that's why we're here," Torres said, looking out at the galaxy spread before them. "Maybe the universe needs someone willing to fight for those who can't fight for themselves." News of the human intervention spread quickly across the galaxy. On worlds ruled by the Cathara Empire, enslaved species whispered stories of the aliens, who had come from nowhere to save the Zalani. On other worlds, dictators and slave masters began to worry about what these humans might do if they learned about other atrocities. The Galactic Confederation sent angry messages to Earth, demanding that humans stop interfering in local affairs. Admiral Hayes sent back a simple response. "Make us." Elder Vex'Hi asked Torres one more question as they approached Zalani space. "Captain, what happens now? Will humans try to rule the galaxy like the Cathara did?" Torres shook his head. "We don't want to rule anyone, Elder. We just want to make sure everyone gets to live in peace. But if someone threatens that peace..." He paused, remembering the fear in the Cathara commander's voice during the battle. "Well, they'll learn what happens when you mess with people under human protection." The Kepler's Dream entered Zalani's space to find hundreds of ships waiting to welcome their heroes home. But among the celebration, Torres knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy was a big place, full of species that needed help and others that needed to be stopped. 18 minutes. That's how long it had taken humanity to decide to go to war for strangers. It was a decision that would change the galaxy forever. And somewhere out there, other distress calls were waiting to be answered.